Welcome to the Temporary Insanity Podcast. Here are your hosts, Joshua Lewis Pereira, William McCoy, and Ciara Tansey.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Temporary Insanity. I'm your host, Joshua Lewis Pereira. Now it's my thing. I got to do it every week. With us in studio today are two favorite people, Mr. William McCoy and Miss Ciara Tansey. What's up, guys?
What up?
I think I should open the episode one day.
I think that would be awesome.
It would be so fun.
You gotta pull the whole middle, the first, middle, and last though.
Yeah. That's the price you gotta pay.
It doesn't roll off the tongue though. Usually I just get like first and middle. When people were mad at me as a child, it was always Ciara Rose. I never got the last name. It doesn't roll off the tongue.
That's when I knew I was in trouble. Was I got the full name, you know?
Mine doesn't roll off the tongue.
I feel like yours would be like a good like boxing announcement. Like Ciara Rose Tansey. That's how you gotta do it.
Pull it out.
That's how you gotta do it.
Well, it's gonna be a great hype man for you. Like, you know, if you ever like when you get married and stuff.
That's how I want to be announced in court.
In this corner, representing Ciara Rose Tansey.
Yeah, that's how I want it to be.
There's a whole lot of fight going on over here. Undefeated. Well, so this week we're going to dive into a topic that you guys were making a really good point about just a minute ago. Song came out back in, what'd you say, May?
May.
It is now July.
It is now July, and the country music
It's almost
scene...
August, actually.
Right. And the country music scene is in an uproar about a little song called Try That in a Small Town by Mr. Jason Aldean. And,
I hate country music.
I got a little upset about this. I'm with Aldean on this one. And Ciara's a little, I think, against us on this one, and we're going to talk about it.
No, I understand both sides of the story. Like, I'm really only upset about one thing. I hate country music. I could literally care less.
So, I mean, I figure that we'll name this episode "Try That in a Small Town" because I feel like we're gonna go down a bunch of rabbit holes on this here.
Yeah.
I don't hate country music. Honestly, like when I was younger, I didn't understand it.
Joke's on all of you. I am from a small town, so you know what? It's so small, it's not even considered a town, actually.
And so we'll talk about this today. But you know, I think it would be appropriate to start the episode. Are we allowed to actually? Like, I don't think. Yeah, it's a podcast.
I think we can legally play like 3 seconds of it.
Oh, I can't play the whole song.
No, I think
that's
definitely
definitely copyrighted. Is it 30 seconds?
I think it's 30 seconds.
I think we can legally do 30 seconds.
I still think that's cutting it close.
Hold on. I'm going to Google it real quick.
Well, she's going to Google that. We're going to find out what we're allowed to do here. I don't know. I mean, I thought because it was a podcast, we'd get away with it. But if you haven't heard this song, and if you haven't, you know, I actually went as far as like looking at the lyrics, and I'm trying to see what's what. And country music was in an uproar. I mean, you have big names, and they're doing all these things, and they're standing by Jason Aldean. You have Facebook doing it. You lied.
There are no fixed standards as to how much of a song you can use without infringing the song owner's copyright. So it really just depends on if he wants to copyright it or not. Like, we can play it, but if his like team gets his hands on it,
it's flagged. Then we'll
be flagged. And stuff.
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll put the link to the music video in our podcast notes. And you all can just play it for yourselves. I think that makes sense, right? So check it out if you don't know what we're talking about. But the country music has gone into an uproar, and well, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, Blake Shelton and a few other people stepped down from CMT, like the board or whatever.
Yeah. So I didn't get too much into that side. So CMT are the ones who are trying to take his song down, right? So the country music, what's the T stand for? Television? I don't know. But it's the head people in the country music scene, the execs and those people who are upset about the song, not like normal people.
The video made me uneasy, honestly. Like, I literally remember, like, I turned to my dad and said, he's talking about like the good things of a small town, but he hasn't shown one good thing until like the end where like he shows 3 clips and that's it.
Of some dude like, yeah, we like each other. We help each other
like
sometimes.
people hunting together and someone
But I
putting a
think you're
flag
missing-
up. And
I
I'm
think
like,
you're missing the point. I think so. The video, what it was doing was, it was showing you the craziness that society was doing, right? So basically, all right, let's jump into the lyrics for a second.
But I think too, before we get into the lyrics, I think it's misleading because now you're saying that cities are inherently bad and small towns are inherently good, which I think that's a little misleading as well because there's some small towns that get into some bad things as well.
I get that. I get your point, but I don't think that's exactly what he's trying to say. Look, I think what I respect about the lyrics of the song is that society has gotten sideways, right? So the lyric says, "Sucker punch somebody on a sidewalk, carjack an old lady at a red light, pull a gun on an owner at a liquor store. You think it's cool? Well, act a fool if you like. Cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stomp on the flag and light it up. Yeah, you think you're tough. All right?" Then he says, "Well, try that in a small town. See how far you'll make it down the road. Around here, we take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long. For you to find out, I recommend you don't try that in a small town." All right? Pause. I mean, basically what he's saying is, like, and he's not wrong. Like, there are still plenty of small towns in America where you go into the place and you can leave your front door unlocked. He's talking about like that ideal suburbia, that picturesque place where you can leave your doors unlocked. Like Huckleberry lives there. And you could kind of walk. I mean, it's a place where where they take care of their own, right? Like, you try to sucker punch somebody or hold up a liquor store and they're gonna handle their business. You know what I'm saying?
so apparently Jason Aldean himself has made the same exact point that Will and I started this video on social media. It says, quote, "In the past 24 hours, I've been accused of releasing a pro-lynching song, a song that has been out since May, and was subject to the comparison that I was not too pleased with the nationwide BLM protests. These references are not only meritless, but dangerous." So he even said our same point. That's like, the song has been out since May.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is and here's where they started to nitpick. They didn't even start nitpicking the song itself. They started nitpicking was where he recorded the video. Apparently, the site of where the video was recorded back in like
1920
was like a lynching site.
Which,
like,
I mean, but you're
like,
down south.
everywhere
you throw a stone,
was.
yeah, you're getting somewhere where some
Dude, even up
atrocity
here
happened.
north. I mean, you pick any place around here. I'm sure if you search for something bad that happened there's
I
something
mean, you
bad.
can go to Brown, Roger Williams, go to Boston. Like, there's been crazy stuff all over, so I get that.
And if I look at the lyrics of the actual song, there's nothing in here referencing negatory comments towards Black Lives Matter. He's talking about society in general. All right. If I look at this, okay, now if your mind is going to that place where it's automatically associating what he's saying to like BLM, then that's on you. Sucker punch somebody on a sidewalk.
Well,
Does that make you think of BLM? That makes me think of like a lot of human beings that are just dirty human beings.
You can't just look at the lyrics here. I mean, look at every single video that was within that music video. It was all from BLM riots.
Well, first of all, it was from riots in general, and let's be honest, it was from the non-peaceful part of this country's unrest. And let's be honest, was it right?
Well, I'm just saying you can't say that, like he doesn't want to mention BLM in the lyrics, so you can't just assume when, like, we're really not assuming when all you have to do is watch the video.
But where did it happen? It didn't happen in a small town. It was in metro areas. All right, like let's talk about downtown Providence. We're not a huge city. All right, you had peaceful parts to protesting. Then you had unrest. The peaceful part, okay, that worked out well. But then you had people that were agitators, social agitators that came in, and they went up and down Main Street, all right, and they were breaking windows. They were going into Providence Place Mall, breaking into boutique shops. Now let me tell you something. I'm not a wealthy man. Thank God they didn't break my windows. But like a lot of those little shop owners were people like me that were just trying to start off. Who were they hurting? They were hurting us. I get what you're saying about the point that you're making, but what I'm saying here is the man is making a statement. Let's flip this to the other side. Okay, dive into the world of hip hop. I'll turn this more over to William here, not but dive into the world of hip hop. Okay, so you listen to the lyrics on a lot of those songs, cussing out the police, f the police, this, and I'm gonna pimp slap my hoe, and I'm gonna this go to my corner, and I'm gonna this that song WAP, like all these lyrics that are far worse, and all these music videos that are far more derogatory and slanderous than what this guy's doing, and what.
But you also have to think about how the music industry works, because what people forget that like people put out these songs about talking bad about cops and talking about women and WAP. These songs are put out by music industry labels. This is not like there's a difference between like the YouTube person who puts out bad songs, but so these are approved and edited and worked on by labels. So these music companies, what they're doing, they want the certain demographic to make themselves look silly. They're letting it happen. Now the problem is, sure, they don't care if they talk about the kid from Chicago shooting the block up, because that's black on black violence. They don't care about that. They let that happen. But now you see a country artist now making waves, right? Because before the country was just like, oh, right, they're in their own lane. They're not really stirring anything up in a political lane. And now this guy comes out and stirring things up in a political lane. So now you already have, one side of the spectrum, right? Or, it's either two things. They're killing themselves, they're dependent on the government, or they're, doing Black Lives Matter type stuff. And we're talking about the protests, not the organization, but they're standing up for themselves. So that's fine, because that they can handle that, because the best case scenario for the government is that they have so many African Americans and minorities dependent on the government, they can only go so far. But now you have the people in the small towns that are self-sufficient. Now they're going to start kind of looking at the government sideways. The government doesn't want that. The labels don't want that. So the labels want to take that down before the next big artist steps up. And I think it's a little too late, because you see, like you said, Blake Shelton and them kind of boycotting, the establishment of higher country music. But I think you can look at, you can try to compare the two, but I think the two music genres missions are so separate on a music label standpoint that it's kind of hard to compare, because they want the WAPs out there.
It comes down to this. It is an infringement on our constitutional rights to free speech. Okay, this man, just like everybody else, has the right to sing about what his heart desires. All right, just like these labels want to let these other guys act a fool. He has the right to sing about whatever he goes, and honestly, he's singing about something that panders to his beliefs and to his base. Second part of the song, got a gun that my granddad gave me. They say one day they're gonna round up, that blank white fly in the city. Good luck. All right, so he's pro Second Amendment. Okay, country music people, for the most part, probably fly with that.
Well, I've read a lot of people are angry about that because of how in 2017 Jason Aldean was on stage during that Las Vegas mass shooting that killed a bunch of people. So everyone was like, how are you going to sit through that happen and then still say you're going to basically shoot someone in a song?
He's not saying he's going to shoot nobody. He's just
undertones,
saying,
undertones.
No, I'm just saying, but he's saying he's got a gun that his grandfather passed down.
And,
I can
and
tell
why
you,
would he put that in a song?
I can tell you why he's getting in trouble. Not just from the country music, whatever, but from people on social media. Because when people look for something, you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile and a half. So it's the little innuendos of a man from a small country town that people are looking at sideways. So sure, because it on the front it's fine. I'll come out. I don't think this song is on its face racist or there's anything on its face wrong with this song. But if you give people the chance to look into your lyrics, they're gonna poke some holes. So you look at it and say, all right, the first I guess verse is fine. Sucker punch, carjack, the liquor store part, nothing wrong with that. Cuss out a cop, nothing wrong with it. That's neutral.
Yeah.
But then stomping a flag, neutral.
On a flag, you shouldn't be stomping on my American flag. No, lighting it up. I'm with him on that. Try that in a small town.
Now where he makes the first mistake, I think, and I'm playing advocate here, because again, I don't think it's inherently bad. But he's saying, where is it? Around here, we won't. We take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long. You find out, recommend you don't. A lot of people online are like, well, that's very reminiscent and very parallel to sundown towns. I'm not saying it is, but when you can let people connect the dots on parallels, that's when you get in trouble. So right there, okay, compared to sundown towns. Is it or not? But they can make a comparison. Gun that my granddad gave me. I don't know how old Jason Aldean is. I don't know how old his grandfather was. But depending on when he grew up in the South, there's a chance he could have not liked people who live in the city. Again, is that the case he's making? But the parallels are there. And then where he really messes up, where my kind of perked my ears. I was like, really, dude? When like not like in a bad way. It's like, really, you're gonna play with fire this way? Try out in a small town, full of good old boys raised up right. If you're looking for a fight, try out in a small town. He uses like the one like phrase that adds fuel to any fire that has to do with race and racism in the South. He's saying that his town is full of good old boys who have raised up right, which is whatever that means.
That whole phrase is kind of just an oxymoron when you think about it.
So we're good old boys. Don't come to our town if you're not what we're about, because we got guns that my granddad gave me. If you want to mess around, find out. Is that saying certain demographics? I don't know. I'm not Jason Aldean.
Hey, we're good boys, but we'll mess you up.
But you can make the parallel, and that's I think where he's taking more heat on this song than really it should be.
Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, it's also because we've embodied the mentality of and I know this is gonna get me into trouble, but that's the mentality of the Joe Biden left America. Okay, the good old boys. We you know. The anti-Trump, and I know I'm not gonna. This is not where I'm going with this, but the anti-Trump era has made everything into a racist statement when it comes to that kind of thing. Because the actual definition of good old boys is a man who embodies some or all of the qualities considered characteristic of many. And I know this is where you're gonna jump on me. Of many white men of the southern U.S., including unpretentious. Convivial manner, conservative or intolerant attitudes, and a strong sense of fellowship with and loyalty to other members of his peer group. All right, so if you take that, you could, yeah. Unfortunately, some guys have taken that into like a race class, but basically, it's a Southern gentleman. I mean, somebody who has manners, somebody who has a sense of decency, somebody who knows right from wrong, somebody who was raised in a proper way. And here's the thing: a gun that my grandfather gave me. See, basically what he's tipping his hat to is, and everybody's going to turn this to this, it's from the South. This is going to be a race thing, but it's not. It's a tip to the hat to the right to the Second Amendment. There was a time where fathers would be able to pass down their guns to their children, but now in the big cities, it's all about what? It's all about gun control. I mean, we did that episode a few weeks ago, right? God, Guns in America, right? And I told you about where I stood on this gun control stuff. But all these super libs, they want to do what? They want to ban the size magazines you have. They want to ban about anybody being able to carry a firearm. And it's like, yeah, I get it. You're taking guns away from the good guys, and guess what? You think the bad guys are going to be able to still not get guns because you're banning it from the good guys? You're closing down the gun shops? No, because bad guys aren't walking into gun shops to buy their guns. Guess where they're getting it from? Not from the gun shop. They're not going in and getting their license to carry. They're not, they're finding their guns elsewhere. All I'm saying is that he's singing a Southern song about Southern ordeals. Now, am I saying that I'm giving a tip of the hat or an agreement to any insinuation to racist thought? No, but come on, man.
But this is also the problem, because I think I was saying this to Ciara before we started. I heard the name Jason Aldean before, and I couldn't remember why. And then I remembered why. And this adds fuel to his fire of little innuendos. I think it was 2018, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's pictures out there. He went to a Halloween party, and this man was dressed up as Lil Wayne, full blackface, dreads.
I do remember this.
Now, I personally don't play that. I get it. But again, and then he's saying he's talking about a song, talking about don't bring your city stuff around here, but then he thinks it's cool to dress up as Lil Wayne, who's from a city, who has these problems that he's singing against, and going full blackface and full dreads. And then it's like, you're not helping yourself out here. Does that mean he's, again, racist? I can't say for sure. I don't know him, but I mean, you're not helping yourself dressed up in blackface. Period. Like I personally, I don't play that. So you topple that on top of what you said about the Vegas thing, and then this song comes out with the imagery he puts out. He's giving the people who want to make a statement against him have a real easy time.
See, the biggest beef I have with this song is I hate, and people are going to attack me. I already know from this. I understand you should not burn the American flag. Trust me, I hate it. I have spoken out on all of my social medias about that multiple times when it was a big thing a few years ago. I do not agree with it in the slightest. However, people do not understand that it is not against the law, and it does fall under the freedom of speech part of the Constitution. So how are you going to sit here and argue, oh, I have a right to my guns, but if you do this, you don't have a right to do that in my small town? Technically, like, this whole song feels like, to me, it's just a contradiction of itself.
Well, he's not saying you don't have a right. He's saying come try it.
Come try it, but like,
so what
I can shoot you, or I can fight you, or we're going to harm you as a group because you're doing this in our small town. But what you're doing, technically, you have the right to do. Not near me, though.
All due respect, that's fine. He's not saying you can't do that. He's saying...
He's just going to fight with you.
No, what he's saying is this: you come into my town, and again, look, I'm not saying that I'm all about him as a person. Like, I'm not saying I have to agree with the person, but as a if you're a constitutionalist, if you're a libertarian, if you believe in your liberties, then it's one shoe fits all. I can't agree with it for one person, not for the other. Like, I have to say, so I believe in my right to bear arms. That means I believe in my right to bear arms. It doesn't mean that I think that I have the right and you don't. It means that I believe in my right to free speech. As much as I might think you're a despicable person, you have the same right to free speech that I do. I might hate everything that you spew out of your mouth, but if I have the right to say what I want to say, then you have the right to say what you do. Well, what I'm saying is don't be a hypocrite. In this song,
but that's what he's doing.
But it's not. What he's telling you flat point blank is, if you come into my town and you punch somebody in the face, we're going to beat you up. And that's cool. And if you come into my town and you try to rob a liquor store, it may not end well for you. Because if I walk into a liquor store and I see you holding up the liquor store...
All due respect, that is not the argument I was making. I was making the flag argument.
What, burning the flag?
Yeah. If he's arguing the case that if we catch you burning a flag in our small town, which is a paraphrased version of an actual lyrics from this song, then don't try that because and then he basically hints at he will hurt people that do this. Is he not?
Well, that to me is a different argument altogether. I have a very strong disdain for anybody who burns my American flag.
Oh, trust me, I don't agree with it. I have spoken out about it, how you should not do it so many times on both talking to people or on public platforms where I've gotten a lot of hate for saying it. But at the same time, I'm also against saying, well, I have rights because of this part of the Constitution, but you can't do this, even though in the Constitution it technically says you can. You don't have the right to do that, though.
He's making a song that in his small town, I'm sure, is a banger. I'm sure everyone in the small towns of 1,000 people in any state, I'm sure, resonate with what he's trying to say on its face. And again, but the problem is, and we've said this multiple times, once you're someone in the public figure, you're putting yourself up for the court of public opinion. And what he's doing here is using a lot of innuendos and using a lot of, double entendres that can be quoted and thought of both ways. Again, good old boys, for the definition, could just be, him and his friends, Southern gentlemen, right? But then and it's a thing like country, like people who live in these Southern states, look at country, at least put out in country a little weird. Like you're in Tennessee, Nashville, you're a country boy, but if you're in Memphis, Tennessee, you're not country anymore, you're urban. It's like, well, you're still in Nashville, you're still both in a southern state, so why do the good old boys get the good old boys in Nashville, but you get the gangster hood mentality and label if you're in Memphis? It doesn't make much sense. And that's what the issue is, because like it's all right. The good old boys, we know he knows who we're talking about, and since he's using a phrase that's up to interpretation, we as like I guess the public make our own assumptions. He can be good old boys as him, and Sierra and you, but not me. And then as an African American who's might be looking at this and be like, well, that's not good, because the last people who really held on to the good old boys, even before Trump, are waving Confederate flags and wearing hoods. And that's where the problem comes in, because he might not be saying that at all, but he's opening it for the interpretation of that being what he's saying, on top of all the other lyrics. So it's kind of like he's making a great point, but it's getting lost in the public eye.
I think what he was trying to say was decent. Like, I think the whole point of like small towns standing with one another, because the towns are so small. Like, what else are you gonna do? Mm-hmm. I get it. I understand. And quoting him from last Friday at a concert in Cincinnati, he said, "I've seen a lot of stuff suggesting I'm this and suggesting I'm that. Hey, here's the thing. Here's one thing I feel. I feel like everyone's entitled to their opinion. You can think something all you want to. It doesn't mean it's true, right? So what I am is a proud American, proud to be from here."
I mean, that's really all you can say at this point. And the problem is, like, I get like he does have freedom of speech, and I'm all for that. I'm not mad at this song, but you also got to think, when it comes to these labels and CMT or Sony Music Group, at that point you're an employee. So if they don't want to back what you're doing, I'm sure there's some clause in the contract where they can not play your music, and then, I don't know if they're trying to ban them or what the case may be. With that relationship, I think it's more like an employee-employer.
I don't even know if they pulled his songs all together, if it was just that one.
No, and honestly, here's the funny thing about it. Like, this cancel culture nonsense is really starting to really bite everybody in the butt, because CMT it was that one song, and then everybody started to really be like, what? Because again, it came out like months ago. Mm-hmm. There's an article on The Street that came out a few days ago, and it says that CMT is owned jointly by Chorus Entertainment and Paramount Global, and the stock in the past month closing per share at $15.52. Advocates for CMT boycott say they're outraged by the channel's decision. It looks like because of their decision, it's people are just upset about it, and their stock started to get, so just like Target and just like Bud Light, people started to boycott CMT, just like Blake Shelton and all them started to do pull their own stuff.
I literally hate this so much.
But isn't it number one on the country chart now?
Yeah, I think it just dropped to number 2, but yeah, it's gotten a huge it's gotten a huge soar.
This isn't like, yes, part of it's cancel culture because it was canceled so much it got pulled off of CMT. But at this point, people like Blake Shelton, and that's literally the only country music star I know the name of. So, but people like him,
oh, come on.
I hate country music.
I don't think you hate it as much as you think.
I
country
literally
music has
hate
actually,
it.
Like, made its way into so much of like.
I hate it.
Like
Luke Combs, don't get me started. Literally, don't get me started.
I mean, I can respect country music as it is.
I've been loving on country music,
look,
man.
I have been saying for years that country music is beer, I love America, and my girl is hot.
But
and now look, this one guy comes and changes country music lyrics, and now he's being canceled.
I think that's the point, though, because the mainstream, right? That's like if you don't listen to country music, that's all you know, right? Oh, it's my truck, beer, and cars, right? And now this guy who's making headlines is now like switching it up, and I think the higher ups do not like that. Yeah. They want the thought of country music being that small little box, even though it's not. But that's what the perception
point that I
is.
was making was Blake Shelton and whoever else pulled their music from CMT, they're literally doing it to themselves at this point. It is nobody else's. They do not need to do that. They are not under fire right now. I understand it's whole, well, it's just where my loyalties lie, or it's just pride at this point. But no, so don't complain. No one is telling you to do that except for your own self.
Yeah, but I think it's principle too, and I respect that. I respect that they're standing on principle because they don't agree with the conglomerate trying to muzzle them. Because where does it stop? If they start to allow themselves to get muzzled by CMT, where does it stop? And here's the thing, Sierra, that you got to understand about country music, all right?
Don't need to understand anything because I hate it.
But I don't think you actually do. Like,
I do.
Like for instance, like Chris Stapleton, he does music with Taylor Swift. He does music with Justin Timberlake.
Joke's on you. I don't like either of them either.
Justin Timberlake. He does music with like a bunch of pop stars. I mean, country music has made its way into integrating itself with pop and with a lot of the music that's out there. I mean, and here's the thing: country music isn't what it was. It's not all about the truck. I mean, although a lot of it still is very similar, but it's got that story. It's got that story. I mean, it's not the way it once was.
And I agree, but again, like country music, I can respect it for the musicianship. This song was even, I'll bob my head a little bit, and there's a little guitar solo. But I think, like you said, it's a story that I don't really resonate with because I'm not from a small town. I'm from a small city, I guess.
We are kind of from a small town. I mean,
actually, Providence is only like the fifth smallest city.
We were a town for a while,
around.
right? And then we switched to a city because we had a mayor or something like that. But
I don't think East Providence was ever a town.
We were. That's why we're called townies.
See, I took a whole East Providence class in high school, and I don't remember any of it.
But I also think it's like I grew up more on like the blues. Like that's more of something I resonate with, and country music kind of derived from blues. So I can't say I hate country, but it's just I would rather listen to blues and listen to country.
Even before I had headphones and able to listen to my own kind of music, that's what my dad listened to was country music. And even now, growing up, even though I grew up listening to country music in the car, I'm still this is awful. I really don't know what it some songs I'll admit I can bop my head to, or if it's one that my dad listened to a lot when I was growing up, I can sing along to it. But I have no interest on learning any new songs.
I mean, I would never tell someone to shut off their country music if they had it in their car or something. I think that
I do.
I mean, guess how long.
Only my close friends. I'll be like, this is awful. Turn it off.
I'm just saying, it'll sneak up on you. You don't know what you don't know until you know. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying you don't know until you. I mean, look, music in general is a form of expression, and sometimes when you're in the fields, country music has a lot of good stuff.
Not my expression.
I love when I'm in my office and I'm doing my paperwork. I rock out to Chris Stapleton. I love Chris Stapleton. Chris Stapleton is my boy. It's my jam.
Is that the only country artist you listen to?
No, I because basically how Apple Music does. You put on Chris Stapleton, and all of a sudden it just starts going to all similar type music, but he is my go-to though. He's my favorite, my favorite artist.
Because I'm one of the awful people that say that you can't be a fan of a genre if you only listen to one person.
No, I kind of let Apple do its thing, I shared there's an Apple playlist that it made for me for the 4th of July. It was actually pretty slim, and it had a good little mix there. It was called 4th of July, but actually I downloaded, I shared it with your dad because he liked it too. It had a nice little mix. I mean,
I love pop punk music. I only listen to Paramore.
Then you're not a true fan.
Not a fan. You just like Hayley Williams.
my thing about it is when did we get to a point where we started to allow ourselves to lose our rights very slowly, and that's what's happening here. And this is the point that I'm trying to make. I'm not standing up for the man on a personal level. I get it. I mean, the man's been tied to some controversy. And good for, on the flip side, the controversies helped him out. There was an article that came out yesterday, right? Today's 20. Yeah, there was an article that came out yesterday. After all the controversy, he made it. He made a bunch of downloads. He made it to number 2 in the all genre Billboard. He's got his song is going crazy. he's got some critics, but he's got a lot of support. So I mean, I'll share this article in there because I'm not trying to get to this too. But the point that I'm trying to get to is, we don't realize that it starts with censorship starts with this. It starts with something that's seemingly innocent, and then before you know it, we have full-blown tyranny. All right, and I know it sounds extreme what I just said, but that's realistically what's happening here. What happens is we look at it as, oh, we're going to silence this one, or we're going to pull the song from that one, and the part of me, the libertarian in me, the constitutionalist in me looks in and we say, wait a second there, though, people. Because if we're not careful, this is how tyranny takes place. This is how we become sheep. This is how we slowly lose our freedoms. Because before you know it, we allow government so much power and overreach, and it starts with CMT doing it, and then it's but let's flip this over to the government side. Like, okay, we've been conditioned now, like I was saying a few minutes ago, with that line is triggering when he talks about his grandfather passing down his gun. We've been conditioned now to look at firearms as such an evil thing. So very, very quickly now, the government's starting to condition us to look at the Second Amendment as this very evil thing. Oh, guns are bad. Guns are bad. I love that old saying. Guns don't kill people, my friends. People kill people. People are bad. It's not the gun that's bad.
I can't speak about everyone else, but I was personally thinking about the person. I think the line, like the gun, my granddad. I was like, okay, like.
But
See, I'm a little different in this aspect because I literally hate guns now after reading so many disgusting things that people do with them. So if it was up to me, they wouldn't exist.
But what does the gun do to you?
It doesn't do anything to me, but I'm saying you're right. Guns don't kill people. People kill people, but what do the people kill people with?
Yeah, but you know what, Sierra?
And it's the same thing. I would be saying I'm not saying it because it's a firearm, because it's a gun. I would be saying the same thing if I heard a news story on the news about someone slashing someone's neck with a machete. I'd be saying the same exact thing, no matter what weapon it is.
If Granddad left him a vintage Colt 1911, I'd be like, dang right, I'd love that gun from Granddad.
Also, I would just like it known the original copy of the Constitution actually says muskets. So unless y'all are walking around with muskets, I don't want to hear it.
I mean, his granddad, I don't know who he is. He might have been walking down with a musket.
Might have been actually.
What if his granddad left him a gun that was left by his great granddad, by his great granddad, by his great
You know
what?
what?
Protected by
That's
the
a fan
Constitution.
point.
The thing is, it's a slippery slope. Like right now we're talking about music, but it's a slippery slope. Censorship is a slippery slope. Our First Amendment right is a slippery slope. All right? Okay, so we pull his song off. It's a slippery slope. Meanwhile, again, okay, you talk, and I stand by what I said earlier. Looking at the song, watching the music video, I get it. It's triggering to a lot of people. Am I saying that I agree 100% with the video? I honestly don't. When I listen to music, it's to listen to music. I'm not about watching music videos. I like, until somebody actually told me that the music video was part of what triggered a bunch of people, I didn't even know. I was like, I listened to the song. Yeah, the song sounds all right. Like,
I didn't even listen to the song until you said something about it.
So it's like, because like I don't have time to be watching music videos. Like I'm surprised artists still make music videos. Like who watches? I remember when MTV.
I don't know if someone watches music videos.
Remember when MTV used to be just about music videos, and then they started making shows, right? So
I guess they put them on YouTube now, so maybe it's for YouTube.
But who's got time for that, right?
I don't know.
So it's like.
See, I knew about this because my dad posted like a screenshot on Instagram from it or something, and then I was like, okay, that's just my dad being my dad. And then he showed me the video, and I was like, I don't get it. It's like, this doesn't immediately anger me.
No.
I'm not immediately angry.
For me, I listened to it through one time with the video. And I saw like the images. I'm like, okay, the images are easier for them to figure out like why people are triggered.
See, my thing is like, he was talking about how great his small town was, right? But then all of the videos from his small town were like from random videos from Google or something. Like,
yeah.
I want those home videos. Like,
show me
how good your small town is.
I want to see the crime rate in your small town. Yeah. Let's be honest. Like again, like, and I don't like. I get the sentiment they're saying. Like, yes, small towns are very homey, and they do have those. I got your back. If I got a flat tire, you won't, take a second to help me. But small towns aren't all good. So like you're saying, like cities are all bad, small towns are all good. Like try that. People have tried it in your town. I've watched enough episodes of Cops to see that what happens in small towns as well.
Remember one of the stories my dad tells me about how when Riverside actually was a town, and he was like, yeah, if you were from this part of Riverside, then you didn't communicate with this part of Riverside. And I was like, that doesn't sound good.
No, that's Riverside's so small.
That sounds like some like gang crime is gonna go on. Honestly.
And I get what you're talking about. How like it seems like this cancel culture is like the man trying to like slowly take away our rights, which I do agree. But I also think this in particular can, if people pay attention, can also show the other side. Because even though CMT dropped him, he ended up back at number 2. I listened to the song, I had no idea about it until then. So I also think
That's why
when we're dependent on the governments for our rights, they're more easily taken away.
all of the Jason Aldean fans getting mad at everyone, I feel like, are being kind of ridiculous. Like, nothing is happening to this guy. He got taken off a music station.
And
he's still up there, though.
At his point,
Calm down.
At his point in music, he doesn't need CMT. Blake Shelton, he doesn't need anyone.
One
So
of my
it doesn't
rules
matter
in
what he
life.
takes down.
One of my rules in life is, if I don't care, you shouldn't care. Like, don't get offended on my behalf if I'm not offended. And Jason Aldean has said multiple times, I read 2 quotes in this episode alone, that he does not care what people are saying.
Yeah, he is very unapologetic. He's
So
like, it is what
why
it
does
is.
everyone else care so much?
Because he understands that you can't please people who've already made their decision the second they saw the video. People made their opinions off of other people's opinions who's only seen the video once. So he's at least, he's doing the smart thing and not trying to fight a losing war against people who, even if he makes the perfect explanation about every single word of his song and every single second of his video, people are still going to be mad at him because that's just what they want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so all in all, this will blow over. It's
Absolutely.
This is one of those things where my point that I wanted to get into. It's like, look, this cancel culture thing is really starting to get irritating. Just guys,
People are bored, that's why.
how can I say this in a way that doesn't get offensive?
I'm also bored. You know what I do? Watch TV.
How do I say this in a way that doesn't offend people? Get a life, right? Like, go outside, get some fresh air.
Touch grass.
Touch grass.
Tell them to touch grass.
Touch grass. Hey, also just to do some fact checking here, it did go around about Blake Shelton canceling projects and stuff in support of Jason Aldean. I'm sure Blake Shelton and Jason Aldean are BFFs. Apparently, he did not. That has been proven false. Blake Shelton did not feel the need to
Blake Shelton over here. Well,
cancel.
now I think I have to.
Cancel. Apparently, he wasn't going to give up $30 million for that one.
Nah, I wouldn't
So
either.
fair.
I
mean,
wouldn't either.
Maybe if it was like a smaller contract. The other thing that was going around was that Luke Bryant was asked to pull his videos. According to Billboard.com, Luke Bryant did not ask CMT to pull his videos.
And they shouldn't. Like, what's the audacity? I'm like, hey, I'm mad at my job. Sierra, quit yours too. Like, no. Why?
Because I don't
why?
think Jason Aldean asked him to pull all his videos. Like,
I'm mad,
Yeah.
so stop giving me money.
Yeah, it's like it's because I'm mad at CMT. I want my friends to also be mad and not make $30 million. That if my friend ever told me that, we're obviously not as close as we
Y'all
thought.
for real acting
also,
like CMT killed
Hank
a guy.
Williams Jr. That's
Who
another
cares
one.
about CMT?
I didn't even know CMT was the thing until this
Well, the
episode.
country music television.
Literally
is what it stands
did-
for.
literally
I know,
didn't
like
know.
sometimes when they put on the Country Music Awards. Other than that, I have no idea. What
Hank Williams
they even
Jr.
play.
did not resign from CMT board either, in solidarity. So that we can debunk that one. You heard it here.
Stop making up lies.
You can. Who are you looking at?
People are lying.
Okay. I freaked out for a second. I'm like, wait, is she losing her marbles?
It's not worth it. It's stupid. If you don't like the song, stop listening to it. You guys are literally, by listening to it so much just to see why people are angry, it's giving him more money.
A lot more money.
A lot more money. In the words of, I think, Doja Cat. Maybe it was Doja Cat. She said, my haters support me because I keep downloading my music.
Yep.
Or that was a paraphrase of what
But
she
Doja
actually
Cat's in
said.
trouble too. She lost mad followers or subscribers because she went on a rant because she didn't want her fans to call themselves kittens, and she lost like
That's so fair, though.
200,000
That's
followers.
so fair.
because it was something crazy.
I also would not.
It was like some guy who randomly started. It's like, I don't want some random dude to start calling himself.
That's
kittens.
so fair. You know who does that? Discord gamers.
I was probably a Discord.
That's who calls women kittens, and it's weird. I totally agree with
She
her.
probably knew because she was on like Discord and stuff.
Unless
so.
it like is she is like did something actually bad, and then I don't agree with her. But if she just said that she didn't want her fans calling her kittens, that's so
I'm sure
fair.
She's a weird one.
I don't think it was Doja Cat. It might have been. It was the Latino one who does like that thing.
I don't know. I don't keep up.
But I just know that she said something along those lines, and I
You
think
got
we should
the
all
quote,
listen.
You might not get the person.
Yeah, I think we should all listen to her.
You know, music's in a weird spot, but and it's funny because I do have karma because I love music. I can respect most genres of music, but like people like complain about hip hop and rap, but then they listen to like death metal. It's like you can find the equal opposite with music on any genre.
I don't like hip hop and rap, so I don't listen to it. So they don't get my views. I don't sit here and talk smack about it on the internet. I just don't listen to it.
I mean, I don't like it now because I do think the messaging is terrible.
Yeah. I don't like country music, but until this point today, my opinions on country music were not on the internet at all.
But you gotta
Thanks,
think
Josh.
Anything that you see on TV that has the little lines underneath after the video, or you see an album that comes out and it's nice covers and has a little small print on the back, that means it was put out by a label, a multi-billion-dollar label that reviewed every song, gave them the best producers, and put it out. So sure, you can get mad at, I don't know, who's a bad hip-hop artist people might know.
Don't ask me that question. I'll say all of them.
Little Uzi, that man got weird.
Who's the one that got like in trouble the first month of the year? Bad Bunny?
Bad Bunny?
Something like that?
The Latino artist? Him?
I think maybe. I thought Bad Bunny was the Catch Me Outside girl. Or that's Bad Baby.
That's Bad Baby. So confused. So close.
Stop putting. Here's my thing. If you're a hip hop or an upcoming hip hop or rap artist, don't put Lil, Bad.
But it's so easy.
BHAD.
It's
If
just so
anything, like, don't put those words in front of your name. It just doesn't.
But like people get mad at these artists for like putting out these rap artists in particular, because I mean I'm more familiar with that, for putting out like this bad music that's like bad for the community and bad for kids, and then you see the album and it's like Warner Brothers music. It's like, so Warner Brothers or Sony Music is like listening to this and says, not only are we going to let you put this out, we're going to pay you the millions of dollars to continue making music and continue flaunting and continue buying your cars. So it's like yes, the artists are making dumb songs that are terrible lyrics like WAP, but Nicki Minaj and what's the other, Megan Thee Stallion are under a music label group who saw the lyrics, mixed it for them, and put it out.
You know what's even worse?
So in the music video, they took professionals and put it out. Like, so like, I get it, but
Kids Bop made a version of WAP.
that was
Kids Bop
hilarious.
makes a version of everything. It's so
That's so
crazy.
funny.
It's like wings and pizza or something.
That's so funny.
I digress, but this is so worth it. I was watching. I think it was Freevee, because I was binge watching a show that was only available on Freevee, and so Freevee you have to watch some ads, and I never watch commercials or anything, but and so this commercial for another show was coming. I forget what the name of the show was, but it was like this mom saying like, you know, things that mom shouldn't say. And so she goes up to like this wall where she has like all like these like awards and stuff for her kids, and she goes, I call it the WAP, and then the kids look and go, Mom, you have to finish that you got to finish that sentence. She goes, the wall of achievement and progress. I'm sorry, I had to say that.
I mean, the worst part is like they made a commercial that they assume these children know what WAP is. Like, come on.
No,
Man.
but like I said, look, this to me is just, you know, and again, honestly, at the end of the day, it kind of makes me think of like the old saying, you know, there's no such thing as bad press, like, you know, there's no such thing as bad advertisement, because again, this guy is being talked about to the point where everybody's jumping on the bandwagon, and then you have the cancel culture people and the anti-cancel culture people all going at it, to the point where a bunch of news was fabricated. I feel bad as for like Blake Shelton and all these guys because they're like, wait a second, I did what?
And then
I did what now?
There's gonna be people that like, well, you didn't. Well, you definitely should have. We're gonna cancel you next.
And Blake Shelton's sitting there like, no, that's $30 million, son. Like, I don't think I'm gonna, And so, but my point on all this is on the grand scheme of things, like, it's enough is enough. Like, it's to the point now. It's like we can't have double standard. Like, and I tell this to people all the time. Like, I come on this program every week, and we share the gospel, right? And that's something we're gonna do again tonight, right? But the same way that I share about our faith and I share about the gospel of Jesus Christ, like I have the freedom of speech to do so. And to some people that might be quite offensive. But you know what? I have the freedom to say I hold that freedom dear. People have the freedom to speak their mind, and although I may not appreciate or agree with, I may not say, but that's the Constitution we have. We have the rights that we've been given. Now, you may be listening to the sound of my voice today, and this is where we start going into what I like to call the main event, right? The point that I'm making is we do have freedom in this country, and it's great, and we take it for granted, and don't let the fear of tyrannical government overthrow you. And I know I sound like a conservative conspiracy nut when I say that, but that's how it happens. It starts off with CMT trying to silence somebody, which never really works on the private sector, but then we've been conditioned like with these triggering words, cancel culture, and all this stuff has come out through these triggering things that make us think about things that scare us, the boogeyman. Right, big government wants us to be afraid of the boogeyman and all these things that they've conditioned us to be, fearful of, so we can depend on the things of government or the world. But we don't depend on that. We're not afraid because we have something else to hold on to. I mean, in 2 Corinthians 3:17 it says, "Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom." I mean, we hold on to a promise that God gives us, the promise of salvation. And if we have that salvation, we have the Holy Spirit that dwells within us. And through that Spirit, there is freedom. In John 8:36, it says, if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. You see, we don't have to worry about these things that the world has that scare us, because we've been given freedom that this world can't contain. It's the freedom that comes through Jesus Christ. 1 Corinthians 6:12 says, "I have the right to do anything you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but I will not be mastered by anything." Galatians 5:13 and 14, "You, my brothers, were called to be free. Do not use your freedom to indulge the sinful nature. Rather, serve one another in love." I mean, honestly, that's what we're doing here today. We're serving one another in love. True love is telling you that you don't have to be fearful of what the world has to offer, or you don't have to be fearful of what may be coming next while we journey this blue marble that somehow floats in the atmosphere. I mean, that always freaked me out, right? Like all these planets that rotate around the sun and they stay in their lane. Yeah,
Gravity?
I go down 95, and I often wonder how these cars.
Actually, no, it's the lack of gravity.
Right, it is a lack of gravity, but we go down 95 and we have like these 4 lanes, and these cars can't seem to stay in theirs, but the planets in their perfect way can stay in their lanes and not go into the sun. I mean, that's how perfect God is. That's the God that we serve. That's the God that I'm talking to you about.
Unless occasionally there's that one conspiracy theorist. It's like, we're getting closer to the sun. We're going to die.
And then there's Pluto.
Poor Pluto.
Poor Pluto.
Man.
And probably billions of other planets, too.
Pluto was with us for a while, though.
Galatians 3:22, "But Scripture has locked up everything under the control of sin, so that what was promised, being given through faith in Jesus Christ, might be given to those who believe." God has given us promise. He's given us promise through Jesus Christ. If you haven't received that promise, He's waiting for you. I got one more for you today. Galatians 5:1, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourself be burdened again by a yoke of slavery." What this verse is telling us is that when you're entrapped in sin, before you know Jesus Christ is your Savior, you're locking yourself up. You're allowing yourself to be chained down by what this world has to offer, which has nothing for us. Because this world has a temporary thing. Just like our show, temporary insanity. All this world has to offer you is this temporary insanity that we indulge for, 60 to 90 years, maybe 100 if you're lucky, and Al Roker can call you out on the Today Show. But God offers us a promise of eternity, an eternal time of freedom, an eternal glory. I say it every week. God loves us enough where he sent his only son to die and set you free. Not to judge the world, not to condemn the world, but that the world, through the blood of Jesus Christ that was shed on Calvary, it could be saved. All you have to do is repent. I said in Galatians just a few minutes ago that as believers, our job is to love one another. Not to live and indulge in sinful way of the world, but to live for love for one another. I don't know who you are. Maybe we've never met, and the only thing you know about me is the sound of my voice or what you see on the behind the scenes. But the Bible teaches me to love my neighbor. The Bible teaches us to love one another. The Bible even teaches me to love my enemy. So what I'm telling you is, even though I may not have ever met you, because God loves me and I love God through the sacrifice that was made for me, I love each and every one of you. And because I love you, I'm doing the one thing that I can do. I'm telling you about the love of Jesus Christ. The ultimate thing I can do for loving somebody is to talk about salvation, to talk about repentance, to tell you that hell is real and that eternity can be secured through Jesus Christ. Won't you make that choice today? Won't you choose to live for something greater than yourself? Won't you choose to ignore the noise, and maybe you hate country as much as Sierra does.
So real.
Or you don't listen or understand the hip hop that they were talking about just a few minutes ago, or maybe all of this is just crazy, and cancel culture or anti-cancel culture or tyranny and all the crazy stuff we talk about from week to week. Listen, this is all temporary. Our eternity is going to be spent either in heaven or in hell. You get to choose, because God gave you free will. Choose eternity with our Savior. Well, that brings us to my favorite part of the show. Join us every week in North Providence if you're in Rhode Island. We love for you to worship with us. Check out our church's website. We all serve at Saving Grace Church in North Providence. Our church website is www.savinggrace.church. Yes, you heard me right. .church, not .com, not .gov, not .anything. www.savinggrace.church. You can find all the information about the church we serve at. I'm the executive pastor there. You'll see Will playing the drums and sometimes the bass, kind of chilling out there. He's big into the music, doing what he's got to do. But we do serve at Saving Grace Church. You'll see Sierra doing a kind of misfit of things there. She's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. We got her doing all kinds of stuff. Maybe even see Mr. Baby from time to time on the live stream.
Probably someone else holding him, because I have.
He gets passed around like a hot potato because he's a local celebrity, kind of like Aiden. But if you do find yourself in the North Providence area on Sunday mornings at 10:30, we'd love for you to come worship with us. We're there every Sunday morning at 10:30 for our worship service, where you can just come and be free and just enjoy your time in the presence of God. If you can't come in person, how can they see us, Sierra?
You can go on our Facebook or YouTube and find our live. I blanked. It's getting there. My goldfish tastes like soap.
Oh,
Did I tell
boy.
you that? I don't know why.
I have to get her some new goldfish. She's easy as a co-host. Sometimes they ask for like just the blue M&Ms and stuff. So
Anything but my soapy goldfish.
check us out live on our live streams at Saving RI, and you can watch us live if you're not from around here. If you want to come a little earlier to our Bible workshop, our class is at 9:30 at the same location, 1 Volturno Street in North Providence. That's our in-depth Bible study with Pastor Floriano, where you can get deep into Scripture and learn God's Word. Hey, maybe you're not from around here and you're trying to figure out your relationship with God and you're looking for a body to tie in with. The Bible teaches us to forsake not the assembly. We need each other. We need a community to lean on. Give us a shout. We will plug you into a church in your neighborhood, a good Bible-following, God-fearing church where you can get to know God on a personal level. reach out. We'd love to talk to you and get you set up. Maybe you're listening to the sound of my voice and you want to pray and ask God to come into your life. Reach out through our Facebook, through our website. It doesn't matter how you reach out to us. We have people that are always willing to pray and talk to you and help you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. And of course, we will set you up with the Bible so you can start your journey off right. That's the best decision you'll ever make. So, I think I'm all countryed out, guys. I think that's all I got.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm good for now on the country. Till the next controversy.
I literally couldn't care what happens to the guy. That's my final thought.
Jason, think twice before your next song, my friend.
Yeah.
And to all of you, listen to his song. Don't listen to his song. It doesn't affect you either way. Goodbye.
That's it. Just stop complaining about it.
Sounds good.
All right, y'all.
Final thoughts.
Until next week, check out our website, www.temporaryInsanitypodcast.com. We love your support. Keep checking out our social pages. And Aiden is going to take us out as per the usual. We appreciate your support. Love you all, and God bless.
Peace.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. New episodes drop every Friday at noon. Have a question about our faith or the insane times we live in? Go to our website, www.temporaryInsanitypodcast.com, and record a voice message. It may end up on our show. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and our YouTube channel at Temporary Insanity Podcast.